First of all, thanks Skill-Lync for providing this platform and giving me this opportunity where I can have this session on BPMN. So this is a skill set which is quite niche and quite less popular in the IT industry. However, at the same time, it's quite demanding, and we are always in recruitment for having the skill sets for such candidates who possess this skill set of BPMN and CMMN as well as DMN. So before that, I would like to tell you about the introduction and agenda of this webinar, where we will be discussing about OMG. So OMG is an object management group, which is a company and an organization which is taking care of all the standards and notations to be followed by all the product companies who are developing the BPMN tools using these languages. After that, we'll be discussing the trio concepts of BPMN, CMMN, and DMN, which is business process modeling notation, case management modeling notation, and decision modeling notation. These are the three different languages which is been supported by OMG group. So once we discuss that, we also try to understand what are the benefits of using any BPM tool, why we should learn this and why they are so much popular. And after that, we'll discuss the core concepts of this trio. Then also we'll see what are the different BPM tools which are available in the industry. So there are like enterprise as well as community versions. So when I talk about the community version, which means they are free to use and available in industry. So we can just use them with absolutely free of cost and design our workflow solutions. And later on, I'll take you through with one of the real-time example of one of the workflow as well, which use all these three languages, so that you should have a good overview about what is this tool about and what is the language and notations we follow to design any workflow. Then I have worked extensively on different BPM tools like Savion, ProFlow, Progress, Oracle BPM, Flowable BPM, Camunda, Signavio, and there are many. But I will try to share the solution architecture diagram of two of the BPM tools, which are quite popular, Oracle BPM as well as Flowable BPM. And then we'll have a case study as well. So this is about the contents and agenda. So first of all, like what is an OMG and object management group? So as I mentioned earlier, it is a organization and been founded in 1989 by a set of 11 major companies, which includes HP, IBM, Sun Microsystems, Apple, and others. So what they do, okay, they provide the specifications for the BPMN, CMMN, and DMN notations. Okay, so they decide and provide a language of these three languages. So like we all know about Java, okay, it's a language which has been published by Sun. We also know there is a language .NET, Oracle, PLSQL. So these are the languages which work with certain standards and notations. So similar way, BPM also follows some standards and notations which has been like closely monitored, and these specifications will be controlled by OMG group. So that's about object management group. And it like business process modeler and notation, BPMN language, right? It has been adopted by OMG in year 2006. So that means it's almost 1.5 decades. This standardization is been monitored and governed by OMG group. This group has an headquarters in Massachusetts. So apart from that, as I mentioned, other popular standards which are supported by OMG group is BPMN 2.0. So when I talk about this versioning 2.0 is the current and the updated version of the BPMN, which has been supported by OMG and being used by the different companies who have their own BPMN tools. So they use BPMN 2.0, same CMMN 1.1, which is the latest version, and the DMN 1.2. So these are the three popular standards. Let's talk about in a nutshell what is BPMN. So BPMN is something we'll use when we want to create any structured workflows. Before we'll go about the structured or partial structured workflows, we try to understand what a workflow is all about. So workflow is something like whenever there is a process, okay, which has a sequence of activities to be connected with each other. In different organizations, we have the different processes, right? Like if we go for HR, there is an HR onboarding or offboarding is there. There is a set of processes there where you recruit people, then they'll come for onboarding, their IDs will get created, they have some mandatory training programs. So all these are something discrete activities which needs to be completed, and when we join all these activities with each other, that is known as a process. So when we develop any process into an automated workflow, right, that is we call as workflow. So whenever we have a structured workflows, then BPMN or business process modeling notation is something which is best suited for developing and designing such processes. So which means structured is something we have a sequence of activities to be done. Okay, we know after one task what is the second task we need to do. After second task, what is the third task I have to do. So if these tasks are well defined, well governed, we know who are going to do these tasks, then definitely we can go for BPMN standards. However, if some workflows are partially structured or semi-structured, or they are dynamic with their nature, okay, then case management modeling notation is something best suited and preferable for designing and developing such workflows. So these are the best practices when we can go for a BPMN or when we can go for a CMMN. The third language is DMN, which is Decision Modeling and Notation. The latest version is 1.2. That is mostly we use for defining any business rules, or like you can say when we have to design any decision tables. Let's say we have certain input conditions are there, or we have certain rules to be defined in a organization or in a workflow. So they are going to be very dynamic. So OMG also provides a notation for developing and designing. So for more details about the OMG, you can refer their website, which is www.omg.org, where you will see more details about what this organization do. To move on further, like I will talk about BPMN introduction first. So out of the three languages supported, first is BPMN, and which is quite popular as well. And if I talk about as per my experience, most of the processes which we design and develop, right, they like 70 to 80% they follows the BPMN standards. It provides everything which we can also do using the CMMN, but there are do's and don'ts which we can discuss in the later discussions when we can go for BPMN and when we can go for CMMN. As of now, we have already seen one of the case, like if we have already a defined or partially structured is there, then we can decide. But it is not like we should not design the workflows which is possible in CMMN using the BPMN and vice versa. So business process management is explained as a discipline that use various tools and process to design, model, execute, monitor, and optimize your business process, which means when you have the business processes, right, using this language, you can design your workflows using the modelers. And with that, you can execute, which means you can test and you can deploy. Then you can monitor, which means you can validate the throughput of your workflows which has been designed and developed, and based upon your monitoring, right, you can further redefine or optimize your business processes again. So it's a closed life cycle which will be followed, and that is something which is one of the very key advantage of using BPM, that within the less period of time you can redesign and redevelop your applications or workflows with more and more features in the uh, next subsequent sprints or deployments. So it also provides an accurate, complete, and graphical notations for documenting well-defined business process. So when I talk about the graphical notations, BPMN and CMMN follows the notations like when we are going to design any workflows, right? They have the graphical notations provided in the tools, whatever is available in the market. So using these notations, right, we can design and structure our workflows easily. And when we design as a developer, then also the non-technical users, by looking into the processes, they can very well understand what at a very high level what this process is all about. So what I mean to say is they don't have to be very tech geek or code geek, which where they need to look into the messy code for the non-technical users to understand what this application is doing. But with the graphical notations, I'll take you through with one of the example as well in the later slides, where non-technical users also can understand what is this workflow is all about. So BPM is also a long-term strategy of analyzing and improving the processes. So organizations are heavily investing on different BPM tools as per their long-term strategies. So where they can automate more and more workflows, and they can have more features to be onboarded with a quick development efforts. So it's a long-term strategy, and it processes how an organization manage and improve the business processes. So as we discussed, it follows the standards followed by OMG, and current supported version is BPMN 2.0. The It is very important aspect whenever we design a BPMN process. It depicts the behavior of people, systems, informations, and things to produce the business outcomes. Supporting a business strategy is coordinated in a business process. So what does it mean is whenever we design a process flow, then we should understand who are the people who are going to use it, which means in an organization, let's say I'll talk about a leave application, then I should know about who all are the participants going to use my workflow or process which I'm designing. So in a leave application, you can think about there is an employee who will be applying a leave. Okay, then there could be a manager who will be reviewing the leave application which has been submitted by an employee, and he can approve or reject that request itself. So here it's a very simple example where people means role. So role of the people should be identified, and we should be clear with the understanding. So here we have two roles, like in the example which I have given, employee role and as well as a manager role. Again, then systems. So system is sometimes when you submit your application, so there will be automatic calculations are there, what type of like and application or backend application you will be using for performing some system or logical operations, information which you want to carry within the workflow. So your end application can have a lot of information or variables or data to be available, but to process and workflow, right, what is the specific information you want to pass to a BPM workflow, that should be well thought about and should be well documented, so we can share such required information only as part of the payload of information. And based upon the different outcomes, right, which it provides, our workflow will route to the different sequence or into the uh, different directions. So after that, we'll talk about more on the benefits of BPM. So whenever we are learning BPM, then we should first understand what are the benefits, and what are the benefits which has been listed here. These are like well proven, and statistically it has been these results have been captured by different organizations, and these are proven results. So like when we use the BPM, it improves the business agility. So what does it mean by the business agility improvement? Here in today's IT world, we all are working in agile methodology. So we are not following more the conventional method of waterfall methodology, where we have the requirements, then design will happen and will take some sweet time of 6 months or 1 year, depends upon the complexity and the type of project we have, and then we can deliver this project after that many, like 6 months or 1 year of time. That is a conventional, was a conventional methodology. Now everybody is working on Scrum and Agile. So why it is been popular and useful is, as a business user, I want to see like whatever application or requirement I have for the overall project, right? It can be delivered into the different or subsequent sprints or timelines. I can work on few of the features at the same time. Other features can be redeveloped or can be developed later, and they can be again deployed, and I can use the new feature. So if my project is for the 6 months, maybe after 1 month I have something to work upon, and after 1 month up to 6 months, my overall project completion time, new features and new sprints will be delivered, and that can be seen. So that's a big plus of the agile methodology, and BPMN follows the same. Using the BPM workflows, right, it follows the same life cycle where we can design workflows, we can deploy it, and many BPM tools have inbuilt components as well, where you need not to create all your UI components as well, or UI UX designs as well. It also provides some UI forms which are developed in React. So for the training of or like faster execution or for realization of your project, you can use the same, and you can deliver the features to the business and they can use it. So it closely follows the business agility. Productivity and quick development, this is a big plus of BPM. When I talk about the quick development, which means if I have a project which has to be developed overall using some conventional language of .NET, or it's a core project of Java, let's say you want to design in the 6 months, right, where you need to write all the codes, you have to do all the testing, and everything needs to be done with the resources, like you can say 4 team resources, development resources, then it's a proven thing that the same thing using the BPMN, right? If organization following the BPMN standards and they are using the BPM products, can be delivered almost in the 40 to 60% of the efforts, which means either we can develop in 6 months using the 2 resources on an average, or we can using the same resources, 4 resources, right, we can deliver the project within 3 to 3.5 months. So it is a great save on the development effort. Increased efficiency, they have well tested and products, so they are quite efficient with the processing, they are scalable. So let's say when we start implementing these BPM tools, right, in our organization with the setup of some thousands of users which are going to use my application. So transactions are quite into the thousands or up to maybe say into the lakhs. But later point in time, I realize my business is getting growing. I have more transactions. Then that's not an issue. Products are quite supportive, where we can scale them horizontally as well as vertically. So it provides that as well. It provides the ensured compliance and security. So all the compliance and security features are also built in with the products, and they can integrate with the other security applications as well. Like if you want to integrate with your LDAP or any other security features, they provide everything. Also the digital transformations measurability with analytics. So whatever processing of the transactions will be done within the workflow, so there are process engines are there which measures the accountability of each and every transactions. So with that, they provide many analytics and reports on the dashboards. Inbuilt dashboards are provided by the products. So with that, we can see what is my like a high level of reporting and analytics things, like how many transactions are getting processed, what time it is taking, how long it is taking to complete one application, one transaction end to end. Also, if from start to end my workflow is there, right? So what all the different work step it has taken, we can see the history of a completed instance as well, who has completed or which user has taken what action at what particular time. All these details, right, are very well captured, and we can retrieve or we can view these details using such analytics and dashboards. Continuing to the benefits, we have the increased opportunities for continuous improvement. As we already discussed, we can anytime redefine and add additional features and can have a continuous improvement on the deployed workflows. Technology integration, let's say it is talk about when we want to integrate with the third party applications. Okay, let's say we want to integrate with some database. I need not to write a whole code for writing the JDBC parameters, like Oracle BPM provides the database adapter itself. You can use these adapters, and you need to do some configurations and you're done. So directly you can integrate with your BPM to the database. You need not to write to the backend coding layer, where you need to write all your JDBC connectivity issues. And this is just an example. Let's say you want to integrate with MuleSoft, you want to integrate with ERP, or you want to connect with the FTP, or you want to do file transfer. So all these adapters are inbuilt. You want to send any email, then these adapters are well defined and well managed and available in almost all the BPM tools. So you can use such components. By using that, you can directly implement the technical things which you want to achieve using these elements. So overall, you need not to write whole code. You can just choose the right activity which you want to implement. And also, it encourages the stakeholder participations through graphically expressive notations. As I mentioned, when workflows will be visualized by the non-technical users as well, they can very well understand what this workflow is all about.